There are moments in life that strike with such force that they silence every thought in your mind. Moments that pull you straight out of your routine and make you stare at the screen in disbelief. Imagine turning on the evening news and seeing an image so jarring that you sit up a little straighter. A young man dressed like he owns the world, standing in a courtroom where humility is expected and decency is the bare minimum. And then in front of witnesses, court officers, attorneys, an injured grandmother, and a judge who has spent decades treating every person with dignity, this young man commits an act so disrespectful that the air seems to freeze. He spits at Judge Frank Caprio. Not near him. Not toward him. Directly at him. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to see how far this conversation is reaching. That image alone raises questions that shake the foundation of everything people believe about justice. What kind of person behaves with such open contempt for the court? What kind of upbringing produces a man who feels so untouchable that he spits on someone who has shown kindness and fairness to thousands? And more importantly, what happens next? What punishment could possibly match the depth of the disrespect, the cruelty, and the breathtaking arrogance? The answer begins on a quiet Friday morning inside Providence. Municipal Court, a morning that will transform into a spectacle of arrogance and consequence. A morning where dignity meets degradation head-on. The courtroom doors swing open at exactly 9:30, and in walks 24-year-old Derek Castellano. His presence arrives 10 seconds before he actually steps onto the floor. The expensive cologne, the glint of the gold Rolex, the perfectly pressed designer suit that costs more than some people's annual rent. He walks with the confidence of someone who has never been told no. Someone who believes that rules exist only for ordinary people. Not for him. What truly draws every eye is not his appearance, but the air of disdain that pours off him. He looks at the courtroom like it is a low-budget stage unworthy of his performance. Trailing behind him is Jonathan Pierce, his father's attorney. Usually, Pierce carries himself like a man who can bend any situation with his voice alone. But today his face is pale. His hands tremble slightly as he flips through documents. He knows exactly what Derek did, and he knows that even the mayor's political power may not be enough to shield his son from the consequences. In the gallery, sitting quietly with her cast and her bruised cheeks, is 68-year-old Patricia Morales. Her eyes are tired but steady. She has come not for revenge, but for the simple human need to be seen. She wants to look directly at the young man who altered her life in seconds. Last week she was crossing a street. Now she struggles to sleep, breathe, or lift her own purse. Her presence alone should humble anyone with a heart. But Derek does not glance at her once. The story of why he is here, why Patricia sits injured, begins 1 week earlier. Derek was behind the wheel of his father's official mayoral vehicle, gleaming and polished, a symbol of authority. He sped through Providence's historic district at 70 miles per hour in a zone designed for families and elderly pedestrians. He was live-streaming himself for his followers, bragging about being untouchable because of who his father is. He laughed as he mocked the idea of consequences. Patricia stepped into the crosswalk with the white signal glowing above her. She had no reason to fear. But as Derek approached, he faced a choice. Slow down, stop, or behave like someone who believes that other people exist only to get out of his way. He chose something darker. He deliberately veered the vehicle toward her. Witnesses later described the moment as a scene from a nightmare. Patricia tried to hurry, but her age betrayed her. The sedan clipped her. Her body struck the pavement with brutal force. 3 ribs snapped, her arm fractured, and the bruising stretched across her torso like violent fingerprints. People rushed to her. Derek slowed long enough to lean out his window, smirk, and shout, "Move faster next time, you old bag." Then he drove away. He forgot one thing. The official mayoral vehicle has a dashboard camera. It captured every second, video, audio, his laughter, his cruelty, his celebration as he fled. When the officers reached him at his family mansion, Derek did not apologize. He did not ask about Patricia's condition. He called his father and demanded the situation be cleaned up before the media noticed. And now, In this courtroom, he believes he is untouchable. Judge Caprio enters, calm and composed, carrying the same dignity he brings to every case, regardless of who stands before him. He greets Derek, but Derek does not even bother to respond. He is too busy taking selfies, tilting his head, adjusting his jawline, documenting his court appearance like it is entertainment. The gallery murmurs in disgust. Judge Caprio speaks again, firmer this time. Derek finally looks up with irritation, as though he is being inconvenienced. He complains about being late for a lunch reservation at the country club. He rolls his eyes. He behaves not like a defendant, but an entitled prince forced to stand among peasants. Judge Caprio asks him to put away his phone. Derek does so with exaggerated annoyance and mutters that the entire situation is unnecessary because his father is already handling it politically. The judge reads the charges with solemn clarity. Vehicular assault. Leaving the scene. Reckless endangerment. Failure to render aid. Derek pleads not guilty and calls the incident minor. He accuses Patricia of being slow and unpredictable. He calls the dashcam footage misleading. He lies with confidence, as though truth can be manipulated the same way his father manipulates votes. Then Patricia is called to speak. She walks slowly. Her voice trembles, but her words are honest. She describes the pain, the fear, the humiliation of being left on the ground like discarded trash. She repeats what Derek shouted at her. Derek interrupts, calling her a liar. He blames her age. He claims she misremembers reality, but the dashcam audio destroys him. His insults echo through the courtroom like poison released into the air. There is no denying it. He is exposed. His lies crumble. Instead of apologizing, he grows defensive. And in the moment that will follow him for the rest of his life, he tries to intimidate the court. He reminds the room that his father is the mayor. He implies that the judge works for him. He steps close to the bench, red with rage, consumed by entitlement, and then he spits. Gasps erupt. Officers move forward. Judge Caprio raises one hand, a gesture of absolute authority. His voice is quiet, but carries the power of a storm. He informs Derek that he has just committed assault on a judge. Derek's face drains of color. He begins to beg. He blames stress. He apologizes, but only because he fears what will happen next. Judge Caprio delivers the sentences one by one. 3 years for the assault on Patricia. 1 year for leaving the scene. 6 months for lying under oath. Another year for contempt. Derek falls apart, sobbing, pleading for mercy. Then comes the final blow. 2 years for assaulting a judge, 7.5 years total. Derek collapses into his chair, drowning in panic. For the first time in his life, his father cannot rescue him. His money cannot save him. His arrogance cannot shield him. He is just another man who finally met a boundary that could not be crossed. Patricia watches with quiet resolve. Her injuries will take time to heal, but today she has been seen. Today, dignity has spoken louder than arrogance, and years later, when Derek walks out of prison, a shattered version of the man who walked in dressed like royalty, he will understand the truth that he never learned as a child. Power does not erase consequences. Influence does not replace humanity, and anyone who shows cruelty to others will eventually face the kind of justice that cannot be avoided or purchased, because in this courtroom, on this day, Derek Castellano learned that when you spit on justice, justice spits back much harder. If this story moved you, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more powerful stories. And before you go, tell us in the comments where you are watching from.